There we go.
What up? What
There
up?
we
What up,
go.
man?
Good morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
What's good with you?
How you living? How's life today?
Man, life is good, man. It's my mom's birthday, man. Gonna be a good day, man. April 3rd,
Happy
Haven's birthday, man.
birthday, Mama B. Wood.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. Is she any special plans other than just the regular celebration?
Man, we just gonna take her out to eat, man. You know, she
Yeah.
82 years
Ooh,
old, man. She don't want much out of life, man. Yeah.
big 82.
Eight
That's a compliment right there.
the 8-2. 8-2, yeah.
Absolutely. One more than Kobe.
Yes,
That
yes indeed.
81. But that's what's up, man. That's awesome to hear. And then I know you've been busy with the college basketball. Caitlin Clark giving you the 40 plus, 10 plus game cold.
Yeah. College basketball's been crazy. On the men's side, you had Zach Edey going off. You got DJ Burns taking Duke down. Thank you, DJ Burns. Uh, and then on the women's side, listen, the women's side has just been crazy with
It's
all the star power. You got Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. You got Paige buckets. You just got so many different Juju. Man, so like the women's side, man, the star power on the women's side, we talked about this, was absolutely insane.
I'm about to say, so what was one of the games that captivated you the most? Because you do have so much going on. You have a lot of players that stand out. What game did you find yourself just glued to the TV with?
Oh, that's easy. LSU versus Iowa.
That was crazy, right?
Because I wanted to see the rematch from last year, especially the battle between Angel Reese and Caitlin. And you know how it went last year with Angel Reese all up in her face, giving the Tony Yayo joint. So like, yeah, like you can't see me. So I wanted to see how that was going to play out. And so the game was a great game, and Caitlin Clark played incredible. But the interesting part was the discourse after the game with Angel Reese, though.
Why
Did you
was
see
that?
any of that?
Yeah,
So,
why was that interesting? What made that the most interesting for you?
it's interesting because of how polarizing it is. Because there's some people that are, if you say anything against Angel Reese, they'll kill you. They'll say, "Oh man, it's sexist, it's racist, and then there's other people on the other side that thinks like, "Hey man, it's chickens coming home to roost." That hey, she's been acting this way, and now this, that, and the third, and she's getting everything she deserves. So it's a hot button topic, you know what I'm saying? And so for me, like the post game after was like, I mean, the game was great, and then the post game like really has people in an uproar right now.
What do you make of it then? So when you heard what she said post game, and you hear her reaction and her and here's another thing before I even get to your response. I think people sometimes fail to realize when you're that involved, like I obviously didn't play at that level, but you could relate to this. When emotions are that high, you're that invested, that many people are watching, it's such a hard thing to then just put a microphone in someone's face and expect to just hear the best thing regardless. It's a sporting event at the highest level from the greatest athletes in the world. Of course, putting a microphone right after anything that's that emotional and that involved, I don't know what people expect sometimes when you do get that in that format. But that being said, what did you take away from what she said? What was your initial thoughts? What's your opinion on it?
My opinion on Angel Reese is this. It's tough to be the villain every day. You know what I respect about Draymond Green? He puts that villain mask on every day.
Yeah,
He's the villain at practice. He's the villain at his games. He's the villain on his podcast.
Yep.
It's tough. And the reason why it's tough is because the villain persona immediately attracts negative energy. And so social media is a place where it's not fun at times anyway, just because everybody gets an opinion. And so bringing it back to Angel Reese, if you're being the villain every day comes with negative energy. And if I was telling Angel Reese anything, my advice to Angel Reese would be this. I watched your press conference, and at the end of it, you talked about saying you haven't been happy since you won the national championship based on the death threats, which nobody deserves, and the comments made about you on social media. I think that Angel Reese has two options because she says, I'm always going to be unapologetically Angel Reese. And I have no problem with her being that. But if you're going to be unapologetically Angel Reese, you're going to have to figure out a different way to do social media.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that means you unplug altogether, whether that means you post, but you don't read the comments and the nasty DMs, because right now, it doesn't seem like Angel Reese can have both, and that's unfortunate because she's telling me that these comments are hurting her mentally, but she still wants to be unapologetically Angel Reese. And so when you do this in Caitlin Clark's face and call her a hoe, there's going to be people that don't like that. And they're going to, and now on social media, they can get right to you. They probably won't say it to your face if they see you on the street, but they can get right to you on social media. When you beat UCLA and you walk over and you're mocking their bench with the L sign, there's going to be some people that don't like that. And so when you're the villain, fair or foul, you paint a target on your own chest, and it brings even more negative energy. Twitter's going to be negative anyway, but when you're the villain, you get more negative energy. And judging by her comments, her saying that I haven't had fun since I won the national championship, what I would tell Angel Reese is find a different way to do social media. Because she says, I'm going to still be Angel Reese. I'm still going to stand on business. I'm still going to be who I am unapologetically. And I don't want you to change for nobody. But if you're going to do that, then you have to change how you do social media. Because right now, what she's doing, I forgot who said this quote, but I live my life by it. What she's doing right now is she's letting people in the cheap seats have expensive opinions. You might want to write that one down.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna steal that one.
You can't let people in, like, you can't let these people have these opinions. And if those opinions are going to hurt you, you have to figure out a way to protect your own mental. So if I was telling Angel Reese once, I'd be like, hey, listen, either don't be the villain or figure out a different way to do social media. I think that's the best, that'd be the best route for her right now.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there with that. Is because, and let's be honest too, she's obviously had the rewards of having such a big brand. There's a lot that comes with it,
Yeah.
the NIL deals. So it's not like she's only just gotten the negativity, but like you said, and most importantly, no one deserves death threats. No one deserves that type of level of hatred, and you never want to see that with anyone. But I think one thing that she'll learn is something that you're talking about as she grows, as she gets older as well. You can't have it both ways, because if you're going to be that figure, if you're going to have that approach, which clearly is who you are, you like being that way, you're competitive, don't change who you are, but then you do have to change your social media approach, because you can't, it's like the live by the sword, die by the sword. You can't have that approach and expect to not have pushback from the whole world.
Well, what's the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Right.
If you understand that you like to talk trash and get in players' faces, and getting in a player's face talking trash is different than talking trash.
How so?
I give you an example.
Okay.
If Dame Lillard hits a clutch shot and says it's Dame time, that's totally different than if Dame Lillard runs in your face and says, "Yeah, ho." Yeah. That's different.
Yeah.
That's different. Every athlete will tell you, if you look at the crowd and yell and point at your watch, I might not like it, but it's whatever. If you run in my face, and do this and mock me while I'm about to lose the national championship, I might haul off and punch you.
Yeah, that's disrespectful.
Like, do you remember when Richard Sherman got punched in the face by Trent Williams from the Redskins? Yeah. Like, it's when you go right after an opponent and talk that trash in the heat of the moment in their face. Sometimes those have different type of responses.
That was a big boy too.
Yeah, but once again, Richard Sherman was okay with being the villain. Yeah. And so if you're gonna be the villain, judging by what Angel Reese said, if Angel Reese is going to be the villain and invite all this negative energy, she's gonna have to change the way she does social media. That way she still gets to be who she is, but she gets to block out the idiots. Because, hey, dog, we're living in a time, I know athletes getting death threats over fantasy football and sports betting. They're not even talking no trash to nobody. It's just, hey, fam, they was 2 for 10 from 3 tonight, and somebody ain't hit their parlay, and they pissed. Hey, man, I was in the fantasy championship, and I lost because of you. Like, dog, they say, like, Stephon Diggs. Oh, they say Stephon Diggs was getting so much hate because he wasn't doing numbers down the stretch and people were losing in the fantasy playoffs. Like, that's the world we're in right now. We got a lot of people that know good and damn well they wouldn't say none of this to these athletes' faces, and they can be keyboard warriors, and they can say it to you in a setting where they feel comfortable, and it gets to you. It
Absolutely.
it gets it like for me if somebody says something negative to me on social media, most of the time I'll just delete it,
Hmm.
or like I might say something funny back. But
Hmm.
like I don't get my identity off social media. Like if I don't, I'm not worried about somebody saying something about me that don't know me. Some dude Jimmy 555 from Iowa. I don't give a damn what he talk about. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
that's me though.
Right.
Everybody different. And I didn't grow up in the social media age. Social media didn't really kick off probably until I was like a Dallas Maverick. I was already like 9, 10 years into my career.
Yeah, I was about to say from my perspective, I'm obviously like a younger generation, but I'm like I feel being 26, I was kind of like the last where I grew up without a phone, where I still went out and played manhunt, but then yet I was still young when it kind of came in, social media came about and exploded. And what I've realized, even with some of my friends, is if you let social media build you up, then it has the ability to tear you
Mm-hmm.
down. And I think we're seeing that with a lot of the younger athletes where if you're going to live like a superstar and you love the admiration that you get, then you're going to also fail and crumble when those same people turn on you when you have these moments like that.
Yeah.
But
And then the thing is this: women's basketball, especially at the college level, is starting to get bigger and bigger.
hmm
So they're getting even more. They're getting even more attention. They're getting even more, and so now that invites even more trolls. And
let
so,
me,
like,
my bad. I was just going to ask you this. When you talk about women's basketball exploding, do you feel like there's a difference the way that they need to handle social media coming from like just a, I mean, obviously we're both men, so you don't understand it completely, but just coming from a woman's perspective and how they already get, women already, I feel like, for example, WNBA doesn't get the credit they deserve and how good those players are. So do you feel like even it's that and then tenfold when it comes to women's social media and just being careful with how you process it?
yeah, man, just because first of all, there's a lot of idiots out there that are sexist.
Yeah.
So somebody like Angel Reese has to get the sexist comments. Then she has to get the racial comments
Hmm.
on top of the people that just. Then you got to get the people that don't like her from a basketball standpoint because they might be a Kentucky fan. She goes to LSU.
Right.
So
Right.
like somebody like a outspoken black female athlete.
Hmm.
Oh man, in today's time, she about to catch hell on social media. And
Right.
so you have to understand who you are. I just told you who I am. Social media don't really bother me.
Right.
But I'm not Angel Reese. I ain't got millions of followers neither.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna go to my phone and see 10,000 people seeing something negative about me. And I wish my guy Ryan Hollins would have been on here because the reason why I wanted him on this live was because he talked about how negative it was, and I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning this, but he talked about how negative and how draining it was when he was doing First Take and he was getting
Mm.
and people didn't like what he was saying, and because he was on First Take on that big stage, he was getting thousands and thousands of negative comments a day, and he was just like, "Yo, it becomes deafening." And so,
Wow.
like, that's my brother. That's somebody I love. So I
Yeah.
can understand what Angel Reese is going through. And I told Angel and I told Ryan Hollins the same thing I told Angel Reese. So you got to do social media differently. You can't, if these comments flooding in are bothering you, then you can't read the comments. Hey, you can still post. Just hey, I make my post. I don't read none of the comments. Hey, I don't answer none of the DMs. Like I don't do none of that. Like if that's how you if the people are bothering you, you got to protect yourself because some people are okay with being the villain and taking on
I'm
all the negativity.
about to say, hey,
Like I said,
KD's a different animal. KD reads every comment.
yeah, Katie. Well, Katie also got a burner account, but like you know what I'm saying. It's everybody's different, right? So KD likes to interact on social media.
Yeah.
Draymond Green, he has no problem being the villain every day.
Right.
That's what he likes. Angel Reese is telling us, I have a problem with how people are coming at me on social, and I think that Angel Reese has to protect herself. So I'm never going to tell you to change. And she said, I'm going to stand on business and be unapologetically me. Well, if being unapologetically you brings even more negative attention from people on social, then you got to figure out how do I get rid of them. And the way you get rid of them is either by logging off of social, which might not be something that she wants to do, or doing social media differently. And
Right.
that's just simply saying, hey, I'm going to post, I'm going to make my NIL money I'm gonna do all on social. I'm gonna do all my whatever. If I think a picture of me looks fly, I'm gonna put it up there. But what I'm not gonna do, I'm not gonna dive into the comments. The comments can be a cesspool of negativity.
Yeah, you can't do it.
It can be a cesspool of negativity. And I didn't like the fact that she said that she hadn't had fun since she won the national championship. That just told me this girl been suffering for a year. For a year, she's been suffering mentally. And I think she has to protect that.
Yeah, and one thing I think people now, because like you said, you have the Twitter fingers and the social media fingers, everyone has an opinion. And that can be a great thing at times, but then other times it's like you don't need to listen to everyone. No one understands Angel Reese's perspective other than Angel Reese. We don't know what she's going through. So for people to lack empathy or to judge her, like, you have no idea what she's going through on her own. Everyone's mind is different. But let me ask you a question. Do you think she wants to be the villain? Or do you think that's just a role that happened to happen when she was doing the things she was doing?
I think that she likes to play that role, but it's different when you play it in high school.
Right now, with the bigger stage, being a villain's a complete.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you remember, you're a LeBron guy, so you'll definitely remember this. Remember the first year when LeBron went to Miami and he tried to play the villain role, and immediately after the season he said, "Yo, I don't like this."
Yeah, that's not him.
He said, that's not
him.
Not me.
Yeah.
Like, he tried to play the villain role, and he realized, like, now Kobe Bryant was a villain. He loved the villain role. He was gonna talk that trash. He loved to shut the crowd up. All that negative energy, Kobe fed off that. Michael Jordan, they fed off. Some people feed off negative energy, and some people, they just have a persona of the villain. There's a difference between a guy that believes, hey, Kobe and LeBron are both great players. In his heart of hearts, Kobe believed he was a villain, a cold-blooded killer. LeBron is a different type of killer, but he's a nice guy.
Right.
And the villain role didn't suit him. The villain role ain't for everybody. Like I said, that's the one thing about Draymond Green. Draymond Green gets up, he makes his breakfast, takes his kids to school, and after he drops them off, he puts on his villain mask, and he's the villain for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Some people can't do that.
He chooses violence.
Draymond chooses violence 24/7.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Like, Angel Reese is telling us, like, yo, like, yeah, I like this role.
Yeah.
Because I like to be a little chippy and extra on the court, and I'm not even mad at that. Guys do it all the time. But you just got to understand what comes with it, especially because Angel Reese, if we're being honest, there's been some times where she's stepped across the line of that in that role. Not like as far as being overly aggressive, but in the disrespect standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, somebody's losing a national championship game. You run up in their face and do this and call them a hoe. You're crossing a line. And when you cross, like I said, and now when you cross that line, the people at home that don't like it, they can get right to you. And what she's letting us know is the people that are getting right to her, over time, they've started to chip away at who Angel Reese is, and she got to protect that.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best take I've heard when it comes to just changing your approach, especially with social media. It's such a tricky thing now. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Caitlin Clark, though. What you just became. Do you feel like how do you describe Caitlin Clark and just the world of basketball now? It feels like we knew how good she was. You knew she was a star. But now it just feels like she's taken another leap. Like her stardom has just gone through and through. So how big do you think Caitlin Clark can really get?
I think Caitlin Clark can be huge. I think Caitlin Clark can be what the WNBA needs. The WNBA needs somebody the same way the NBA needed Magic and Bird in the 80s. The WNBA needs somebody to take them from where they're at right now and bring them into the light. Don't nobody get mad. I'm not saying that the WNBA isn't an incredible league. I understand how sensitive people get. What I'm saying is, at one point, the NBA in the 80s was on tape delay. And Magic and Bird, Magic and Bird, two megastars, took the league to another level, and then Michael Jordan took the torch from them and bam!
Yeah, made it global.
The league has never looked back. That is what Caitlin Clark can do. The WNBA has a great product. They have incredible players. And now, when you talk about somebody like Caitlin Clark, she can come in right now and bring so many extra eyeballs to the game. And then after she comes in, then you get Juju coming in. You got Angel Reese, whoever else. Like, it can be a situation where, like, we saw Magic and Bird and Jordan carry the league to somewhere where it is never looked back. We can see that with Caitlin Clark. She's that special. She's that box office. She's that polarizing of a figure. Her game is cold. Then she's fearless in the biggest moments. And the skill set is unreal. Like, dog, the Big Three is offering her $5 million right now to go play. I know she's probably not going to take it because the Big Three plays during the middle of WNBA season. But that just goes to, like, that $5 million deal wasn't there before. Caitlin Clark is opening doors. And what's going to happen is more people are going to walk through it. And I think that we're going to see the WNBA's popularity raise up.
I was just about to say, and there's players where it's not always about if they're the best, it's their impact on the sport. Like Conor McGregor is a great example of what he did for the UFC. He is not the greatest UFC fighter of all time. He's not even in the top 5, but he's clearly made the biggest impact on the UFC. Caitlin Clark doesn't always have to be the best player in the WNBA, but she's going to by far have the greatest impact. Like, she's going to change. Like Tiger Woods was the best, but his impact on golf was just crazy. I really feel Caitlin Clark has that type of ability with the WNBA, with women's basketball. And it reminds me of, like, Steph Curry. I mean, the easy comparison, Steph Curry, you look at the shooting and the pull-up. But, yeah, Steph Curry wasn't necessarily the best player in the world. You don't know if he was better than KD or LeBron when he was at his peak, but you knew the impact he had and the eyes that he brought to the screen. I just see that written all over Caitlin Clark. It's crazy.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark is just going to be somebody, like you said, like a Steph Curry, that she's going to bring eyeballs to the TV and kids are going to want to emulate her game.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Steph because kids go to the gym and they want to be Steph.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as great as Tim Duncan is, like, kids watching at home can't relate to being 6'11", shooting bank shots.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Jokic is the best player in the game right now. Kids ain't going to the court trying to play like Jokic.
You can't.
They want to play like Steph. They want to play like Ant-Man. They want to play like those guys. And so, like, that's what Caitlin Clark can bring. She brings a box office game. There's nothing on the court that she can't do. Then she's fearless and she steps up in the big moments. Like, she was cooking LSU. And hey, listen, as good as Angel Reese played, Angel Reese, you got to get up on them screens. Angel Reese was dropping back on them screens, letting Caitlin Clark come up and dot the I. Like, pow, pow. Like, hey, Angel, I know your stats were good. But
9 threes, 9 of them.
Hey, listen, I be watching the games. I don't just look at the stats. I'm like, hey, fam, you were giving up just as many as you were scoring because you wasn't up on that screen at the level where you needed to be. That drop coverage could get smoked. And so when I look out there at somebody like a Caitlin Clark, she's box office. Her game is special. People, other little girls, other little boys are going to want to start wearing her products, her shoes, and everything else. And that's where she can take the game. Think about back in the day, like, if Caitlin Clark came out with a shoe, a guy wouldn't wear it, or a boy wouldn't wear it because it was seen as, oh, that's a girl shoe. We passed that now. We understand those gender barriers have been tore down. I remember Candace Parker had a shoe, and because I'm learning on the fly. Candace Parker, when she first came out with her shoe, and one of my coworkers, he's a guy, and this is probably like five years ago. He was like, oh man, you got to get me one of, you got to get me a pair of those. And man, I made the mistake. I turned around and said, dog, you can't wear that. That's a girl shoe. Dog. The whole room just turned and looked at me. And Candace gave me the eye. And I was like, yeah, I got to change my way of thinking. I'm a little,
you got to evolve a little bit.
Yeah, I got to. But that's okay though. Like, that's the thing. Like, you gotta evolve. I apologize. Like, yeah, like it was like Candace, Kristen Ledlow. They was looking at me like, I know he didn't. I know he. So that's where the game is now, man. Women's basketball is just as skilled as the men's game. Don't laugh at me, man.
I know your heart dropped.
Yeah, when the whole room stopped. Yeah. Have you ever seen the movies when all the music, like the dude walking to the bar and all the music stopped and everybody look at him? That's how it was.
That's what I'm thinking about.
I was like, God damn. If I could just be invisible right now.
Hey, I know that suit felt extra tight. You started sweating.
I was like, whoa, is it hot in here? Yeah, man. So it's one of those things where you live and you learn. But that's where the women's game is right now. The women's game, like Caitlin, when Paige comes in, Juju, they're gonna have men, boys, everybody wearing their gear. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
And so I think the WNBA, when they get some of these college players that are in there right now, in the league because of the popularity of the college
Right.
game, I think it's going to do wonder. I think it's going to do wonders for the W.
Yeah, no, it's going to be incredible. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about your story. I'm trying to let it go. I'm glad I wasn't there. I'm not going to lie to you. I was able to keep a straight face.
Hey, man, I had to learn, man. Hey, listen, you got to realize. Think about things like back in the 90s, if you didn't throw the ball well, let's say you threw a ball and you didn't throw it, what would they say? You throw like a girl.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
all these sexist things are kind of ingrained in your head, and as you get older, you have to unlearn
For sure.
them. You know what I'm saying? And so we got there's some things that I had to unlearn. Yeah. And man, when I told Candace Parker, like, hey, man, you can't no guy wear your shoe. That's a girl shoe, man. She lit into my ass. And when I'm trying to tell you, I felt like my mom was talking to me. I was like, man, I'm older than you. How dare you?
I'm thinking of a clip that I saw. I forget what was said. I remember you posted it, and I remember you just like pause, and it was just like you couldn't keep a serious face. I wouldn't be able to keep a serious face.
Oh yeah, man.
That just wouldn't happen. But either way, that's just the world that we live in now. But everyone knows you're a great dude, and so when you know that, it's easier to.
But the thing is, I'm also a person that can say that I'm wrong. Hey, I've been married for 5 years. Marriage teaches you that quickly. You better learn to apologize.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when I said it and the room turned and looked at me, I automatically knew I was wrong. And I was like, I'm quick to apologize. Like, I'm not the person that has to be right all the time.
Right,
the person that has to be right all the time, it says something about them. And so but that was, definitely insecure. So that's all that was. But yeah, you know how it is, man. But I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. Hey, about that time for me to head to the gym. But you know we had to get on here and talk about your girl, about Angel Reese situation. Caitlin Clark, and the women's basketball game is flat out on fire.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your breakdown. Have a great day. Tell your mom it's a happy birthday, and I hope you enjoy it.
Will do.
All right, my guy.